Whodey, Bengal fans. He is Eric. Our man Ace. Yes, that is the man, the myth, the legend up there. Ace is joining us tonight. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Mon could not be with us tonight. He is out, guys, protecting our community. He is on shift at the fire department. So, Mon, be safe out there, man. Thoughts and prayers with you every time you get on that truck and go out and protect us. So we appreciate that, buddy. Zim might be stopping by here in a little bit, but we're gonna have a roundtable discussion. This is going to be we're pre-gaming it for tomorrow night. Before we do all that, though, Ace, how you been, man? Thanks for joining the show tonight.
Yeah, man, of course. I felt like it was time for us to reach back out to the Whodey community. You guys have been doing your thing. We've been doing our thing, but I love when we're able to come together, especially before the season. So everything's going well, man. Can't wait to get ready for the season. I'm just ready for this thing to start getting kicked off because I usually get very excited for preseason football because it's some form of football, but I feel like us as diehard Bengals fans, right, we're going to be watching Shamar Stewart, all of these guys. Like, we're going to be watching until DJ Ivy is in. So with our fan base, I feel like it's a little different because we're always still in tune with the game, no matter who's in, right? We're going to be looking to see what Desmond Ridder does as a third-string quarterback. I don't think your average fan base is really doing that. So I'm in a great mood. I can't wait to finally see some Bengals football for the first time since seems like last year.
And not only that, we're going to talk about this in just a couple minutes, Eric. You and I talked about it off air. Coach Taylor talked about it today. We're going to see a lot of Joe Burrow tomorrow night, which we as Bengal fans are not used to. Eric, how you been doing, man? You good?
Man, I'm stoked. I'm ready to break down some long snapper tape. I'm ready to watch the battle for the third backup guard. Not only is this a roundtable, but this is such a special episode that Jake brought the guns out to everybody. Look at Coach repping the no sleeves. He's sun's out, guns out, and Jake brought the special guests tonight. I don't know. Hopefully you're not traveling with those to Cincinnati. They might not let you in. But speaking of guests, our other guy's here, so let's bring him in. Zim, welcome in.
There he is. There he is. Zim, how you doing, my man? You good?
I'm doing pretty daggone good, man. How you guys doing? I came in a little late, so I heard you guys are feeling really good about the season, so that's awesome.
Nah, you right on time, brother. You right on time.
Yeah, right on time. Yeah, we guys, let's get this thing started because again, I know Eric has some questions for us. We're gonna keep this as a roundtable discussion, really pre-gaming it for tomorrow night's first preseason game against the champion Philadelphia Eagles. So, but before we do, I'm gonna real quick. This came out today, guys. This is the who is sitting out tomorrow night per Zach Taylor. No Dax Hill tomorrow night. No CTB. Obviously, no Trey. No BJ Hill. No Cedric Johnson, which is kind of a bummer. I know Mon was hoping to see him. No Marco Wilson, which I thought was interesting as well. Matt Lee and Mike Gesicki are also out. Those are the guys that are going to be out in offense. However, Amarius Mims is playing tomorrow night. Zim, let's start with you, Zim. Thoughts? Are you bummed out about maybe a couple of those defensive guys not playing tomorrow night?
I think it's a precautionary thing, but I know, Cedric Johnson is in a boot, so I don't know the extent of his injury. I was doing a roster exercise the other day, and I had him like literally is like, depending on how they do this tight end wide receiver thing on a week-to-week basis, I was looking at him as a potential guy that might not make it. I don't know if they're going to pup him because now he's in the boot, and that'd be one way to kind of stash him. And then maybe we can see him like later in the season. I think that's probably the strategy that they'll go with. But if you really go through and look at all the position groups, it's going to be tough to get him out there, and he hasn't really been out there recently. And I had asked people on Twitter, I was like, have y'all seen this guy at all? Like, you know what I mean? So that's somebody I think in my mind, I thought that he could play kind of like the Osai role for the last couple years, where he kind of is weaved into the rotation, get about 15 to 18 snaps, something like that per game. Maybe that happens later in the season. I do want to see a bunch of guys. Like, I don't think there's guys that I'm disappointed in. I'm more so excited about guys that I'm looking to take the next step. Of course, Shamar Stewart, if he looks anything like how he has been at practice, I mean, I just tweeted this out earlier. I get it. Sam Hubbard had consecutive non-sack years, but he's never, ever, Trey Hendrickson has never had anybody nowhere near as disruptive as Shamar Stewart has been showing up, whether it's against the ones or the twos. If we see that against the Eagles, I don't care if it's backups or whatever, and he's doing that same thing, I think that the defense is going to be a lot better than what we think.
I agree.
Because if you're disrupting at that level and you got probably the number one pass rusher in the NFL now with a push pocket, it makes everybody in the secondary and the linebackers, and it now makes all of those guys elevated up if you're that disruptive. Like I said, Sam Hubbard was always like a workhorse guy that was high motor, and then he would clean up and get those sacks. You need that. I think Miles Murphy will give you a lot of that. But if he has another guy across from him, I'm really looking at Shamar Stewart. If he flashes and he's looking like chaotic, whoa.
Yeah, a lot of talk on Shamar Stewart in the locker room from some of the guys that have been around. Ace, I'll tell you what I'm disappointed about, Ace. I'm disappointed that we're not going to see Noah Fant tomorrow night. He is also not playing. I think that's the one that I think I'm most bummed about. We didn't get to talk, Ace, very much, but tell me your thoughts on the Bengals picking up Noah Fant. We talked about it on our show. I mean, this is a big deal because this is a guy that all of us Bengal fans were like, oh, Noah Fant's a free agent, so we all posted out there. This would be a great guy. And the Bengals never do it. Ace, they did it this time. What do you think about it, Ace? You excited about Noah Fant?
Oh, I'm extremely excited about Noah Fant, and I think it's perfect because some people were like, oh, well, we have Mike Gesicki, and a small amount of fans. I'm not saying that everybody was, but some people were like, oh, what would be the point? You talk about Mike Gesicki having a hamstring injury. Now you're not really worried or going into a panic because you have someone there like a Noah Fant, right? Like if Mike Gesicki had that hamstring injury and you don't have him there, like Drew Sample's not doing, like Cam Grandy, like tight end position automatically goes to the worst in the NFL if Mike Gesicki's not healthy with Noah Fant not on the roster. Now that you have Noah Fant, you have a guy that's capable of stepping in, and not saying that you're not going to miss Mike Gesicki, but you're not really going to miss a beat with having someone like Noah Fant. The reason that I feel like he's not playing in this game is because he's trying to learn the offense. So I get that from that perspective. Him joining camp a little late, coming in the installs, him having to learn that Eric All role. At least that's what Hobson is saying right now. That seems like something very specific, but I love that and I'm excited about it because Eric All played a lot last year. So the fact that Noah Fant is going to be with Gesicki, Gesicki's going to play a lot, Noah Fant's going to play a lot. I love seeing that what his role is going to be in this offense. And they're still talking about Tanner Hudson, so you still have him around. But obviously, we all want to see what Noah Fant is going to do in stripes. But hopefully we can get that either next week or the week after. But I do understand the importance of him learning this offense. And I know that it's a very advanced offense. So from him playing in the Seattle and playing in Denver, it's probably drastically different than what we're doing in Cincinnati.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And Eric Zim, I throw a little bit of shade at your guy T. Huddy, saying, T. Huddy, there's no room for you anymore. And T. Huddy's like, Zim, hold my beer, my man, and lit it up these last 2 days. Yeah. What do you think,
Listen,
Eric?
I had the same tweet. When Noah Fant signed, I said, T. Huddy, like pack your stuff, like it's over. But man,
what do you think, Eric? You think you guys?
I don't know.
Taking the team?
I think Hudson still makes the team, but it definitely puts everybody on notice. The other Tanner should be on notice. Cam Grandy, I would put Cam Grandy on notice. I mean, we already saw a free agent tight end that we had on the roster, an undrafted free agent that got the boot. I mean, it's Noah Fant. I'm just surprised. Like this is a Fantastic Four season. There's a new Marvel movie out. How have we not coined him Mr. Fantastic yet? Can we put that on a shirt? Come on, guys. I think we should start that. You got the Yoshi claim to Yoshi. Let's go with Mr. Fantastic and make it happen. I think he's going to take those jobs for sure, whether they make the team or not.
I mean, this roster, guys, again, I know people call me a homer, but I'm looking at this offensive roster, and it's hard to put anyone up against this. When you're looking at all the offensive rosters around the NFL, and obviously, the offensive line is not where we want it to be. But when you're looking at the weapons on this team, and even Zach Taylor said it today in his presser, he said, listen, I don't know how the hell it happened, but Joe Burrow got better, which is scary, right? I mean, it's scary that Joe Burrow is getting better and telling us that we're going to see this whole different side of Joe Burrow. This offense is dangerous, right? I mean, again, we need that defense. We talk about on our show, we need that defense to be like, just give us a top 20 defense and we're rolling. We're going to be competing for a Super Bowl. Let me ask you, Zim, do you think they need more than a top 20 defense to make it to the Super Bowl, or do you think top 20 is where we need to be?
I think it all depends on, McPherson. If McPherson is who he was before, then I think the margin of error is, you're allowed to, maybe allow a couple more, points than maybe, you know what I mean? So to me, that's the one that I think a lot of us aren't really talking about is the special teams factor last year. I posted something today that was just showing like 4 or 5 games that McPherson had his hand in too. And, if he plays at even just, like a little bit higher than what he did last year, I don't think that the pressure on the defense to be like some top performing defense, top 15 defense is even there. I just think that even because we proved that last year, Joe Burrow is I think it was like the 5th, 6th best offense in the NFL, but it was one of the highest scoring ones, right? He proved if you just had special teams in some of those games, you probably only lose 3-4 games, right? Yeah, so he showed even with the 30th ranked defense, you know what I mean? So it's like if they can shore that up and then come back and man. I do think the defense is going to be better though, just because it's just I'm looking around the league, bro. Like I just don't see. I said this last year. I just don't see. Yes, the Bengals are unproven. But isn't all of these guys that, like you might value the Ravens defense and say, well, they got Malachi Starks. These are all unproven, entities that to me, it's like a perception thing to a little bit. Because then you could come back and look at the Bengals and be like, well, they do have a proven TJ Slayton, who has been one of the best run defenders for his team, for the Packers. No, he's not a superstar, but he's playing nose tackle. You got Logan Wilson, his interceptions, those things are all, you know what I mean? Like you got him. You have a proven BJ Hill. So you have pieces that have been pretty good or really good. And I think so many people are just harping on how bad they were last year and disregarding like the talent. So it's like for me, I don't even know what to think about like where I think they'll rank. But when I compare their rosters to others, these teams don't really have a first round Dax Hill or a second round DJ Turner and a second round Cam Taylor Britt and all these, like these are high. Chris Jenkins, that's a second round pick. Miles Murphy, these are so like these other teams want us to believe that their 4th and 5th round dude that might have played well like a year ago, like that somehow is trumping all of this high premium talent for the Bengals. I just don't see how it's gotten so bad where they're just like the defense is so bad that they don't have a chance. I get it. They were bad last year, but the talent is not an issue when you compare it to other teams in the league.
And, I saw a thing today that said we were the we're the lowest paid defense in the NFL. I think it's right around again, and that's not
fourth. It's the fourth lowest. It's the fourth
lowest. I knew it was like.
But do you know who's the cheapest?
Who?
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, that's what I was going to say, and that was what my point was. You just took my thunder, Zim. That was what my point was, though, because we talked about this on our show on Tuesday. Before that even came out, we talked about, Ace, that with the Bengals having a bottom 5 paid defense, I said it on our show on Tuesday. That's exactly what the Eagles did. The Eagles won a Super Bowl by retooling and drafting an entire new defense. They had the youngest defense on the field, and it was the best defense in the NFL, Ace. Something to be said about it, right? What are your thoughts on that, Ace?
I think it's something to be said, and I think Mon shared with me Dan Hort interview, and they kind of talked about that, right? Like the Philadelphia Eagles approach. I think there is something to be said about it. However, when it comes down to that, because I kind of figured the Bengals would be in this position by now, especially committing to the offensive side of the ball, you got to draft well. So that's why they're taking swings on guys like Shamar Stewart, right? The athleticism, the freak of nature. They're hoping that he is, like his agent has said, a bigger, stronger, faster version of Myles Garrett. If you do get that and you're able to pay him a low amount, then you're good. If you get dividends from DJ Turner, then you're good. If you get those dividends from Cam Taylor-Britt and Dax Hill, you're good. So I think this defense, like Zim is saying, and I did a show on Bleacher Report earlier, this defense is going to be better than a lot of people think. And I think the coaching change and all of that, and I've always said this, and I was glad that the guy that was on Dan Hor's show said the same thing. I'm going to say it again, like much respect to Lou Anarumo and all of that. He was overrated. Like when you look at the stats of what the defense was, they weren't this impeccable defense that was top 10, top 20. They were not like that. They were not like when Mike Zimmer was here, where they were ranked top 5 and stuff like that. Now, did they have great game plans against Pat Mahomes? Sure. Did they stand up in those moments? Sure. Were they a reason that the Bengals made the Super Bowl? Sure. But overall, if you look at Lou Anarumo and his tenure here from when he first got to the Bengals and when he left, they were not like some top defense like we see with the Ravens or we see with the Steelers, where they were just this juggernaut. So I think Al Golden, in his approach, you could just hear how the players are talking and the energy that they're playing with and the confidence that they're playing with. It would not shock me, bro, if they are leaps and bounds better than what they were under Lou Anarumo, especially with these young players, because that was another thing that Lou never did. He never invested in the young players. Like if Lou was running this defense, will we even see Shamar Stewart? Would he even be out there getting snaps? Like those are the things that I think that are going to be a difference.
We probably wouldn't still see Miles Murphy if that was the case.
No, we wouldn't.
Can I get some pushback on this a little bit though? I think that defense to me from year to year, it goes all over the place, like right. And to Ace's point, the last time the Bengals had a top 5 statistical defense was, I think, 2009. Someone in the show, please fact check me. I think they were the 4th ranked defense, 2009. I think it's the last time that had a top 5 defense, right?
I think you're right.
But the one thing I will say is that for all those Bills teams that they say are going to go to the Super Bowl every single year, like when we played them in 2022, y'all know that was like the number 1 defense.
Yeah.
But then when it came time to go and play like the big game, like the ranking went right out the window. And I thought like the whole Ludini experience and the mad scientists and stuff, rankings might not show this up, but there is something that you cannot disregard about playing against the very best and having success against the very best in those moments. What he did to Patrick Mahomes every single time that he played him, every time that he played Josh Allen, to me, it's a big factor. I don't know what I weigh higher. Like, do I rather have a higher ranked defense or whatever? But we watch the Ravens be a top 5 defense every year, and then they get to the playoffs, and they're like, above average, and if they had a Joe Burrow, they probably have a Super Bowl, right? But, like, there is something to be said about, like, getting those timely picks and your boy Pratt and getting these plays. And I think that Lou Anarumo had a real big part to do with that, because a lot of coaching to me is how do you adjust on the fly? And what we would do in the second half of those games against
That's
Mahomes,
what I was going to say.
nobody else could do that. Nobody else did it.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why we got to the Super Bowl and nobody else did. We were the only ones that figured out that one thing.
That's what I was going to say is, and thank you, Eric, for that. Yes, 2009 was that
Mike Zimmer
finish. Thank
Mike
you, Eric.
Zimmer.
You know, I do want to go back to what you said because that's what I was going to say. Zim is Lou Anarumo. I'm with you, Ace. Listen, you guys are on our text chats. I'm not a defense. I was hard on the defense these last couple of years, which I mean, again, rightfully so. But the difference between I think a Zimmer defense and a Lou Anarumo defense is Lou Anarumo was so good at second half adjustments. I think that was his niche, right? I mean, we watched his defense week after week. It would be like bend but don't break, right? It'd be like, teams would have 300 or 400 yards against us, but when he had dudes like a Jesse Bates and the Mike Hiltons and those guys, when that 21 and 22 defense was playing, you had guys that would make big plays at big moments. We did not have that these last 2 years. We didn't have guys bailing Lou Anarumo out when we needed them to do it. Eric, I know you have some talking points for us. Let's hear them. Let's get after it.
Yeah, just to add just a couple things on that. Go back to Super Bowl season. What was one of the difference that got us to the Super Bowl? Our linebacker play was phenomenal. What was the difference? We had Al Golden. Lou Zimmer, like you said, Ludini's had a lot of schemes. He was great, but our linebacker play is what got us over the hump. Didn't have that same linebacker play the next year. I want to, before we move on, we don't want to just belittle the defense all day long and the pass defense. But every offseason, we're talking preseason here in 2 days, and I'll correct some people in the chat are blowing Jake up. Preseason starts on Thursday, not tomorrow. We're so excited. We're going to sleep through tomorrow. We're pretending that preseason starts tomorrow. So preseason starts Thursday. But every preseason, every offseason, the Bengals and the Bengals media and all the training camp hype sells us on something that we thought was a weakness is now a strength or is no longer a weakness. I want to go around the table real quick and get your guys' opinions on what that thing is this year. I'm getting a little concerned that we're all really hyped that the defense is fixed. So that's my concern. I'm worried about Fool's Gold. I'm not too worried, but we get hyped up before. So we'll go around. Zim, why don't you give us yours first? What could we be wrong about?
I'm kind of like, I get the excitement for the defense. I don't want to steal the thunder off of what you're saying. Is I do caution that. Another one that I think I'm gonna go to the offensive side of the ball. I think Fairchild, because of the storylines of the cool, UFC stuff and whatever, everybody's like penciled him in and just made it like a foregone conclusion. We did the same thing with Volson at the time, right? Oh, he's tough. Nobody, you know what I mean? Like, I think I was watching this. I want to say it was Jason Kelsey or somebody. I don't want to say the wrong person. Oh, it was Lane Johnson, I think, talking to Willie, our friend Willie Anderson, I believe. And he was talking about his first 8 weeks in the NFL as a rookie. He was like, I was terrible. And I think it was Lane Johnson. I'm sorry if it was somebody else. But he was talking about how terrible it is. I think people need to understand at the beginning of the season, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at Fairchild. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at Lucas Patrick or Cody Ford because that's what good teams do is identify your weaknesses and go right at that, right? And I think a lot of people are it's like some foregone conclusion that Fairchild, I read somebody tweet this to me. They were like, oh, Fairchild's going to be a Pro Bowler. Like, I'm like, hasn't played a snap of football. And for a team that's dropping back 40 times a game, he ain't never seen nothing like this. And I believe in the kid, right? And I think he will be really good. Just stick with him, coach him up and everything like that. But I think earlier in the season, there might be some plays that you're like, oh, my God, like we got to – but these are the growing pains. Somebody put in the chat, shout out to you. They put that in the chat too, and they were like, growing pains. Literally, I was listening to that song on the way over. But the growing pains of the NFL are, it's tough. So I think that Fairchild is the guy that I'm not going to call him overrated. I'm not going to call him anything. I just say pump the brakes. Let's see him play some real action against some real Cam Haywards, some real Matabukes, some real dudes, and then come back here and tell me about Fairchild being a Pro Bowler.
Ace, you got a guy to be concerned about?
Not necessarily a guy, but on the offense, I'm going to stick over there too, the run game. I don't think that that's just fixed, right? Like the run game has been an issue for a while. I don't know what they're going to do to really change it. Obviously under center, they were not good. We talked about them going under center more. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL running the ball under center. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL running the ball. Running the ball isn't what they do. And I think that maybe I just need to accept that that's not their identity. Like how they talk about those screen passes being an extension of the run game. Maybe I just need to expect that. But I just don't know if I'm quite sold on the run game thus far. I love Chase Brown, love what he can do. I know we're putting a lot on Taj Brooks. I like Taj Brooks. I think he has more upside than Samaje Perine. But I don't know if this is going to be like I don't think it needs to be a dynamic run offense, but I still think that they're going to be, towards the late 20s when it comes to rushing numbers and analytics in the NFL.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, for sure. That would be Mon's take too.
I think the run game is definitely, I think that would be at the very top of my list too, just because we haven't seen that yet. And there's been a lot of talk about, Scott Peters and what he's going to bring to this offensive line and stuff. So I think it's that. Let me say before I say mine, yes, I know the game is Thursday night. Listen, I am a coach. We look at things different than you guys. It's 9:00 at night. We are on to Wednesday. The game is tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned. So let me say mine because, and I don't want this to be true, but I have to see it. And for me, it's the safety position. I'm going to throw two of them out there because we are seeing guys like Jordan Battle make a bunch of plays. We're seeing even CTB making some plays so that the corners, you could throw the corners in this too. We're seeing these DBs very aggressive, making some great plays out there in camp. But when the lights come on, that's when I want to see it. I want to see this safety position, both free and strong. I want to see those guys play and make plays when the lights come on because to me, that has been the weakness of this defense since Jesse Bates left, is that position, guys back there making plays. Obviously, Geno Stone was the guy that we went out and got that I was very excited about, obviously coming off of that great year with 7 picks coming to us from the Ravens. I thought, man, we finally fixed the Jesse Bates problem. Obviously, that didn't happen last year, although he played better later in the year. Jordan Battle, another thing, but I stood up on a table yelling for the Bengals to go out and get a veteran free agent at the safety position. They did not do it. So I want to see what this safety room looks like. The reason why maybe the Bengals didn't go out and get a safety because DeJohn Anthony, Tyson Anderson, Stone, Jordan Battle. I want to see those guys when the lights come on. I want to see those guys make plays. I hope they do. I really do. But I think for me, that would be the fool's gold is I got to see that first.
Don't worry, Jake. I already have everything clipped up of you ragging on DeJohn Anthony so that when he's out there and he's balling out, we're going to have the instant receipts. All right, we're coming up on a half hour here. Ace has got to get going, so I want to throw it to him real quick before he does. Appreciate you jumping on with us, Ace. We're going to go around here, but what is one thing that you want to see, or two or three, whatever you want to see out of the Bengals preseason game on Thursday against the Eagles?
Joe Burrow and everybody on the first team stay healthy. That's what I want to see first and foremost. If they can, I would love to see them stay healthy after playing. If they play 2 quarters, like Zach is kind of saying, where they play a little bit into the second quarter, I don't need to see them for the rest of the preseason. As long as they play like a quarter and they stay healthy, I'm good. But I would like to see that. I would like to see the defensive line do something against a team other than the Bengals. Hopefully, we get to see the Eagles' offensive line out there. I'm not sold
That's
on
real.
them
That's real
doing well
talk right
against the
there. That's
Bengals.
real talk.
I'm not sold against them doing well against the Bengals offensive line. I've seen this before with Cedric Ogbuehi. Yeah, I just want to see them do it. If they do it against the Eagles, I'm good. That's the best line in football. We don't know if the Eagles are going to have their starters out there, but I'd like to see them do it even against some of their quality backups that they have. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Stay healthy.
Am I incorrect? But I saw a report where they were saying that this might not even be the feature game for like the starters. Like there's another game like supposed to be like the second or third game where
Commanders.
Game next
where we're going to even see more of the starters.
Yes.
Yep. And we've talked about this for years, and everybody said that's the key to getting out there. And I've always pushed back, kind of like what Ace is saying right now. And I've always said, I kind of want to just come out there week 1 and be healthy too, because I watched a lot of teams, even in our division, get some guys hurt too. Are you guys worried about like piggybacking off of what Ace is saying? Are you worried about that aspect of like right now we're pretty clean all across the board?
The big thing that you guys are athletes. We all play sports. Anytime you go out there and you play not to get hurt and you play conservative, that's when you get hurt. I watched Joe Burrow in week 1 of last season. I watched it from Paycor Stadium, and the man had happy feet. He needed more reps. He missed Jamar on a game-winning touchdown, and any other time Joe Burrow sees that and he makes the throw. Yeah, I don't want Joe Burrow to get hurt, but he's got to be out there. He's got to be in week 3 form in week 1 of the season, and there's no other way to get there that other than playing the preseason.
But all right, so we come out there week 1, right? And you're like, he's in form. And then Joe Burrow's cooking. And we're going against the dirty Browns. Like, I feel like the key to the season is coming out and doing a lot of stuff that we've said that we've already talked about, like the run game. Someone else talked about being under center, play action. Like, if they could control a game against a bad team, it shouldn't be like that. Like, it shouldn't be like we're so reliant on Joe Burrow to come bail us out and drop back 40, 50 times. Like, when are we ever going to have a team that comes out week 1 and punches everybody in the mouth? Maybe we don't throw for 300 yards, but we're like controlling the clock, controlling the field. Maybe it's a low-scoring game. Maybe it's 21-7 against the Browns. They suck, right? But like the defense is controlling what they got to do, and it's not really up to like Burrow to be like so hot. But I think I'm exaggerating your point, of like if Burrow was more on point, we would have easily won the Patriots game. I was at the game too. He wasn't really that.
It was
My thing is football is such a game of emotions. And when you go out there and you play boring ass football week 1 and you do control the clock and you're out there and it's 10-7 after the first, we're up by 3 points and we've got almost 100 yards rushing. Great. But football is a game of emotion and momentum. And we haven't done it. Joe Burrow hasn't been ready. We haven't come out there and we haven't gotten that emotional boost that we need. And it sucks, but this team feeds on that emotion. And until they've proven me that they can go out there and win a game 13-9 in week 1, I need that emotion from Joe Burrow. And that's why I need him to start fast, because we've seen as soon as he's cooking, we go on 5-game win streaks. We go on 12-game win streaks. Hell, let's start the season on a 12-game win streak for once and have it all locked up. I've seen the way they've tried to do it before, and I feel they've tried to do it that way, and we see the shitty results, and I want something different.
Let me tell you what I want to see from tomorrow night, Thursday night. Let me tell you what I want to see.
Let it go, Jay. Let it go.
Let me tell you what I want to see from, I'll say Thursday night. Let me tell you what I want to see. I want to see a clean pocket for Joe Burrow. And the reason why I say that is because I think this is a great first preseason game to play the Super Bowl champs. We already talked about it. They have the best defensive line in football, probably the best defense in football last year. They definitely have the best offensive line in football. To watch, I want to watch our fronts against their fronts. I don't even care if it's preseason. I don't care. I don't care who plays. I want to watch us compete up front against both sides of the Eagles' offense and defense. I think, to me, if we do that, I will feel a lot better about this, especially about our offensive line. I will feel a hell of a lot better. But
yeah,
to your guys' point,
it's a mentality.
It is a mentality. I want to say this, Zim, to your point. Listen, we're talking about all this stuff about Joe Burrow playing and what he has. I mean, Zach Taylor's feeling the pressure, right? I mean, listen, Joe Burrow changing everything he's done in camp, including what he's doing in the preseason. I think that seat's getting a little toasty for him. You can't come out and lose to a bad Browns team who, by the way, just signed Huntley. They now have 27 quarterbacks on their roster, and all of them suck. You cannot lose to a crappy Browns team, and you definitely can't lose to a crappy Jaguars team. The Bengals have got to be 2-0, and I think Zach Taylor is feeling a little uncomfortable, right?
He should. From the outside world, I've heard so much nonsense. Like, just listen. Even if you're a Bengals fan and you're listening to this right now, and I asked someone this earlier, they were like, man, I don't think the Bengals are going to make the playoffs again for the third year in a row. Let me ask you this. He should feel the pressure just off this. When in the history of football should a team not feel like, or a team not be in consideration, if you have a top 3, top 5 quarterback in the National Football League? Like, this whole concept of, like, I don't know, man, the defense of the – bro, like that, when you have the most important position in football and it's very clear, like, I think he's the best quarterback currently right now in football.
Oh, he is.
You can tell me there are more quarterbacks that are accomplished. The last 2 years of Mahomes, whatever, I give it to you. Really, really good teams figure out ways to win close games. But, like, on a week-to-week, play-to-play basis, hitting open receivers, making the correct – he hasn't been on Joe Burrow's level. His team has been playing really well. The coaching has been really well. All the things around him, into Mahomes' credit, he makes the plays when they matter the most, right? But overall, Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in football. That alone should put so much pressure on everybody, even fans. Like, sometimes I read fans stuff that I think are buying into this whole concept of, like, man, I just don't know. Like, even when Andrew Luck was on the Colts, it was very clear, like, we should be contending for a Super Bowl. Yes. Anytime Brett Favre was on a team, even when he was later, even when he went to the Vikings, we have a chance to, like, it wasn't trying to make the playoffs. And I think it's really astonishing.
That's a good point.
That everybody is very clear that Joe Burrow's a top 5 quarterback at the least. You could be one of those weirdos that have Herbert above him or something, and you say Joe Burrow's the 5th best quarterback, or Stafford's better, whatever, right? You say that. Even still, there has never been a team in the history of football that this many people will tell you they're not going to make the playoffs, or we don't know. You have that level of a quarterback, you should be ready to go into the playoffs, and that's the floor. Like, I'm not even thinking, like, I don't know.
I'm with you. I mean, you got to, again, we last year is a perfect example of that. The Bengals absolutely pissed away an incredible opportunity, right, with this offense. They pissed it away. You're right, though. I mean, think about – I don't think people realize how terrible our defense was last year. I don't think people conceptually understand that, because if they did, Joe Burrow would have won the MVP. Because for the fact that we went 9-8, and listen, again, I'm a coach, so I don't like to say the what ifs, but let's be realistic. Both Baltimore games and the Chargers game should have been wins. The Chiefs game should have been a win, right? This is a team that went out and competed against the best teams in the NFL took them down to the wire. Every good AFC team, right? Obviously, the Eagles beat our brakes off, but every good AFC team, the Bengals should have beat. They should have. Again, a missed field goal here and a pass interference call there. This is with the worst defense in maybe modern football history. Joe Burrow is on a completely different level than everyone else. It's not even close. And that's why all these NFL defensive stud players, when they're asked about it, every single one of them is like, who's the best quarterback? Joe Burrow. It's not even, they don't even hesitate. It's not Patrick Mahomes, it's not Josh Allen. It is Joe Burrow because they see it. They see that live and how good he is.
Exactly. And I'll ask Eric the same question too. And I posed this question to anybody that I've ever had. And it's insane to think about this, right? I like to talk ball online. People, I like to cook people too. But I really like to talk ball. I really do. I really do.
Yeah.
For the last 3 years or so, I've consistently asked this question, right? You remember like when they figured out a way where you could show Lamar Jackson a zero blitz and you would say, hey, this is how you approach him to look. That's how you do that. And then you go with man blitzes and different things. And Warren Sharps of the world, they have the statistics to back up all these different things. You talk about Josh Allen, you need to make sure you cage him in. We had guys come on the show, Wincinnati, and talk about different strategies of keeping Josh Allen inside of the pocket, but make sure you don't shoot too far upfield. Pat Mahomes, we've seen Ludini and all these different things. I've consistently asked all of these people, even NFL players, front office people, we've interviewed NFL. I asked them, what do you do to stop Joe Burrow? And for years, if you really think about this as a Bengal fan, or you could be from the opposition on here right now, the answers that they always give you are always them forecasting the Bengals' demise. Like, yeah, you need to worry about signing your wide receivers. Or they'll come back and be like, well, is Joe Brittle going to play? He's going to get hurt. I've never heard anybody in my whole entire life ever have a strategy. Because think about it. If somebody told you that, we'll blitz him. You can't zero me. I'm the number one blitz, quarterback rating against the blitz in all of the NFL. So you can't blitz him.
And Zim is not close.
Remember when they told us that he wasn't mobile? They said he didn't run. He's a great pocket passer. We then cooked him with all the information on how he gets out of there. You got Tyrann Mathieu on him mic'd up saying, this dude, we can't even do anything. He's just running around the AFC Championship game. I played the video of this earlier today. He's like, bro, I didn't know he was that fast. He's just moving. He runs away from Chris Jones, all these different things. Every time somebody thinks that they might even say something like that, they never give you a real strategy for Joe Burrow. And that's how I know that he's the most feared quarterback and he is the best quarterback. And to this day, nobody has anything that they could do to stop this dude. He's actually one of them. He's one of the greats that is currently playing right now. And I get it. I'm a Bengals fan. I think as time goes on, everybody will see. We're talking about the number one completion percentage in the history of football. This guy is actively playing right now, and he's only in his 6th season.
Yeah.
So let me just preach on that. But I think Bengals fans, I do believe that we are built different. Obviously, we watch every snap that Joe Burrow has ever taken. We watch these things. We see him pick apart defenses. But to your point, it is absolutely different with other quarterbacks. What I don't know if other fan bases are like this. I really don't think they are. There's a few, but the fan base in a whole, Bengals fan bases are an educated group because we have to defend the Bengals so much. We watch almost every Josh Allen game. Unfortunately, we watch more Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson than we want to because they're always on those primetime games. Hell, we watch Matthew Stafford and have to hear Jake talk about how great he is. We see quarterback play around the league, and there always is a way that you contain these different quarterbacks. Mahomes, you rush him, and you can keep him in the pocket. You don't let him scramble outside the pocket and do that crazy stuff. Lamar is similar.
And what did Lou do? He dropped. Remember, he dropped 8. Those were real strategies.
Yeah, and it works. But there is, like you said, you ask somebody, is there a how do you stop Joe Burrow? And there is no logical answer. They immediately go to something emotional, say, oh, well, your receivers are injury prone, or you can't pay them, or you don't have a defense to back him up. That's not the damn question. How do you stop number 9? You don't. It's ridiculous.
You're right. There is no scheme. Nobody has ever schemed Joe Burrow into a loss. The only thing that has schemed him into a loss is a below average offensive line, which, by the way, nobody talks about that either, that Joe Burrow got sacked 70 plus times and still led his team to the Super Bowl behind probably the worst offensive line in NFL history. This guy has never had a good offensive line. Not one time. Not one season has he had a good offensive line.
So my concern, so I searched this up, and this is a little bit before Zim's time, but my concern, and this is why there has to be a sense of urgency. The fan base, the Bengals, everybody, you have to have a sense of urgency. Joe Burrow is going in, it was his 5th, going into 6th season. He's been to 1 Super Bowl. He's cooking. You can't take that for granted. You got to get it while you can get it. You cannot let him be Dan Marino. You ask anybody growing up in the late 80s and 90s, you ask them now, you say the name Dan Marino, and they cringe because Dan Marino went to Super Bowl, I think, in his 2nd year, lost to the 49ers. He's played 17-year career, never went back to the Super Bowl. And why? Because his offensive line wasn't good and he didn't have a strong defense. You have to get it while you can get it. You have to capitalize on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on brand new contracts, pay Trey his money, make Shamar happy, go get it now, get us 1 this year, and then you can sit back and relax all you want. We're going to want you to get 7, but if you get 1, you'll be turning Joe Burrow into that Hall of Fame quarterback that we all know he could be. He can't be the next Dan Marino, and right now that's where it's trending, and that's really scary to me.
Yeah, and to me, I don't know. I will say this: the way that, and I've always been annoyed with the comparisons because what they do, I think the mass media does this, and then the opposition does this a lot. And you talked about this earlier in the show. You can't play like you're going to get injured. You can't play whatever. As a fan, I'm sorry. I don't, while I'm watching the game, like sometimes I see him get hit or I'll see certain things. I'll be like, all right, get up, Joe. Like when he fell on his neck in the Steelers game, I was like, oh man, I thought he broke his neck. And, but generally, you know, like if I thought like that, I always tell like my family this, like if I thought like I was scared to do something, then we should all just stay in the house and not even get in our cars today. Like how many times, like I rode past 2 car accidents today. So, like, if I thought that I was going to get in an accident, that's the only thing I will say about the Marino and the luck thing is, like, I feel like that's perpetuated from a lot of people that don't have the answer to what I'm saying. Like, they don't have a real strategy. So what they do is a coping mechanism to make them feel better about it. And it's disgusting to me is that they'll tell you about, like, oh, yeah, he's going to be Marino or he's going to be Luck and his career is going to end early because they don't want to really line it up. I'm from the old school of football. I know I look a little younger. I know I'm younger. I'm from the old school of football. All this contract stuff, all this you ain't going to have this or y'all going to get – shut that shit up. I'm ready to line it up and let's go play some football. You bring your best guys out there. We going to bring our best guys out there. This internet Twitter stuff gets on my nerves. Like, I must have like an old soul or something like that because it does piss me off because all day they sit around and be like, well, I mean, is such and such going to be there? Is he going to be like, why are you so scared? Why are you so scared? They act like they putting on pads. Like, are you a man? Are you a woman? Or are you a coachie? Line it up. Put the damn helmet on. You've been repping your squad all year. You say you in the AFC North. You say you run it. You say you got rings. Bring them shits out. You know what I'm saying? Bring them out to the field. If it's like that and you really think you're like that, don't tell me how Joe Burrow is going to end his career. He's going to be like this and he's not going to do that. Well, line it up then, pussy. Let's get it on there. I'm a Cincinnati Bengal. I come here to fight. You know what I'm saying? That's what I bring to the table. And see, the reason they don't like that It's because these new guys, these new kids get on there and they start talking all that other stuff. And like, oh, you got to really think about like, what is his household like? And like, I don't know if he had enough sugar and milk for the babies this week. And you're watching Quarterback Club and all that stuff like that. And I'm thinking about, who are we hitting this week? You know what I'm saying? Like, I love sports, bro. And I feel like the real fan is so concerned. I mean, the new age fan, they're like so concerned with all this off the field stuff. I ain't watching no Hard Knocks tonight. I'm getting ready to watch my team play on Thursday. I'm getting ready to knock somebody's head off the week after. We're watching games. We're watching film. We're breaking down everything that we can do. And we're trying to will because we haven't won a Super Bowl. I don't have time for all this off the field. I'm so done talking about contracts and all this. Like, bro, let's just like bring me your best. The Ravens said they got all these corners. They got Jair and they got line them up. I don't want them hurt. I want them out there. I want them to play. I want to show them. The Bills do tell me that Benford's a top 10 cornerback. I say I'm gonna kill him on the field. Jamar, I pray he's out there. Jamar Chase is going to kill him. He's going to make him look like all the other corners and all the other teams that told him that they were better than us. And that's how I live. And people don't like it. And then they be like, oh, I can't stand them. And then cry on the internet all day because I love football and we love football. We bringing you the Pulse in Wincinnati because we're real. We're the last ones alive. Everybody else is out here talking all that mumbo jumbo stuff, and we the last ones still suited up. I don't know what's going on out here.
Let's actually. You got us all motivated. Let's actually.
Eric,
we need to suit up.
Follow that up, Eric. Follow that up.
Nobody's following that up, but I'm ready to suit up. Let's take all the Bengals podcasts. Let's suit it up and let's go play against these other people on X because you know what? They're not going to show up, but by damn it, we're going to show up with shoulder pads, mouth guards, and helmets, and we're going to knock you out. I'm ready, Jake. You ready to run through this wall?
I'm with Zim here. This contract thing is just I'm done with it. Right? I listen. If Trey signs, great. If he doesn't sign, the young guys have to. It's the next man up. I'm with him. I think this contract thing now it's old news. It's old news. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't want to hear about all these fans trying to come at us with this contract. You know, you guys cheap. You don't sign your players. Blah 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 blah. And again, it's coming from Browns fans who have never won. I don't think they won our damn division, if I recall. It's coming from Steelers fans who are so scared of Joe Burrow that they try to go out and recreate it by going to get Aaron Rodgers, which, by the way, I don't know if you saw him going through his foot drills today. He looks about 87 years old. You got the Ravens who, listen, you know why the Ravens went out and had to go get all these DBs, draft them, spend a bunch of money? Because they can't stop us. Because they can't stop Joe Burrow. They can't stop Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They can't stop us. They can't stop us. And again, like I said before, if it wasn't for a special teams error, and if it wasn't for another special teams error, and then obviously a poor play defense, the Bengals are 2-0 against the Ravens last year and should have been. So you know why the Ravens have gone out and done all this? Because they still know they cannot stop Joe Burrow. They know it doesn't matter how good our defense is. Every game that they line up against us is going to be a fight. And it's a shame. That was my point in the beginning of this whole thing. It's a shame that we pissed that away last year because a play or two away and the Bengals not only win the division, but they probably win the AFC championship with the team that they had and the quarterback that they have.
And that's my point. Circling back, I want the front office to treat this with a sense of urgency. Don't go out there and throw a Dollar Tree offensive line out there when you can be shopping at Target and get something that's respectable. They need to be playing with a sense of urgency, and then the coaches can go out there and coach free. And that's where we need to be.
Yeah, I think and I'm sorry, I'm turning up a little bit. I think I'm getting into season mode.
It's ready to go. Listen, don't say the game is tomorrow night. The game is Thursday night. So we understand. Understand.
Coach, you're in preparation mode. I feel like I'm so frustrated. I think with all of the nonsense, and I think now we're getting closer to football, and I'm so excited about that. And I just think a lot of the stuff that goes around our team, and I think we're having a real healthy conversation, and Eric is raising really good questions on, hey, what are the things that, like you're worried about or concerned about, or what are the things that you think we should be watching? Those are real conversations. And I think so much of the stuff that I've been seeing is so out of left field. People just don't even realize how crazy that they sound to say that this guy and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson and all these guys, they're really, really, really good. And when that happens, that team should be considered one of the better teams in the National Football League every year, despite the bad defense and different things like that. And I don't know if the defense will be way better, because you saw like Ace when he was on, I think he was alluding to, I think you're going to get a more principled defense, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think you'll get more aggressive defense. I think you'll get more of the qualities and more so like the mentality of a defense that's saying like, let's go after it, let's go get it. And I think that alone moves them up a couple spots. And people say, well, you guys didn't add anybody in all season. I think we added some toughness with Oren Burks. I think we did add a guy that's going to be the most underrated signing, just like when we signed Trey Hendrickson. I think TJ Slayton is going to be a dog for us. I think TJ Slayton is.
What about when we signed DJ Reader? Remember, everybody's like, DJ Reader
and Trey Hendrickson.
I see that comparison.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that, but I do agree. I do agree with you too. I think what we are going to see more than anything with this defense is a bunch of young guys going out and enjoying playing the game of football and trying to earn some money and again, play with some intensity. We have watched these past 2 years. We've watched the Von Bells and the Sam Hubbards and these guys that are at the end of their career that don't have that kind of energy. And I love those guys. I love them. I absolutely love them and what they've done for the organization. But it was time to get some youth in there. And again, I don't want to compare it to the Philadelphia Eagles, but that's exactly how the Eagles built their defense, was through the draft and going out and getting a couple of free agent guys that, were in that part of their career where it was like, all right, I got to prove myself if I want another contract. And that's what they did, the Burks and the Slaytons of the world.
Right.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add that the whole defensive thing, saying we didn't go out and get guys. We didn't go out and get guys because they were already on the roster. Well, the problem was we had a defensive coordinator that wouldn't play them. He wouldn't throw them out there into the fire for whatever reason. We said this many times last year. You're playing like crap. You might as well play the young guys and find out what you have. But he still didn't do it. We have some really good athletes that just didn't get to see the field.
But he did when he was forced to at the end.
Yeah,
Fun fact, everybody listening to the show. End of the season, you can go look this up. I sent this in the group chat with us. You guys, Jake and Eric, have seen this. But in the last 5 weeks of the season, when he was forced to play the younger guys, the Bengals were ranked by PFF as the 6th best defense in all of football. You might say, well, they were going against, and you can name like the quarterbacks. They went against playoff teams like the Steelers. They went against playoff.
All relative.
And it's all relative, because if we do that, then we had to go look at that team and be like,
it's all relative.
It is. But they did, and I don't buy into that and just say, well, that's what it's going to be. But it showed you. And I forget who that was in the earlier part of the show. And I was talking about the Eagles being the cheapest defense right now, right? The name of the game is you have to draft accordingly, and you have to draft the best people, right? You can't draft for position. You just draft the best players. You play those players immediately. Miles Murphy, we're waiting for a breakout in year 3, partially because he wasn't even given the snaps. Somebody on Twitter told me, they were like, well, you can't just give him snaps. I'm like, these other teams, a first round, second round guy that everybody in the staff has come together. Let me tell you about responsibility and accountability. If we're all in a brain trust room and we come out of there and say, hey, look, guys, we're all going Jahad Campbell in this thing, we got to be ready to live and die with Jahad Campbell.
I agree.
To the field.
I agree.
For example, the same way that they got to do that with Shamar Stewart, same way they got to do it for whatever, until all options are exhausted. And then at the end of the day, you're going to say that was on me if it doesn't pan out. And that might get you fired. That might get you whatever. But that's how good organizations run. Accountability from the people that make those type of decisions. If you were man enough and woman enough to get in the room and say, we want Miles Murphy or whatever, you can't then have your defensive coordinator say, I'm not with that plan. No, this is a plan that we're all collectively on board with. We're going to play them. If you go look at the history of football, you can go back and look at a lot of different teams. But we'll take it more recently. The reason why the Chiefs got to where they were at is because, and I watched Spags talk about this, he put a lot of those young guys, I'm talking late guys like Joshua Williams and 5th and 6th and 7th round guys, the kid that's from Cincy and all these guys, Edwards and all the safety or whatever, and all these guys, he played them right away.
Yeah.
That draft that they had Pacheco is one of the greatest drafts of all time. But all of those guys had opportunities to play early. And once you do, say that you take your lumps and say you take your L's along the way, those guys get trained in the fire. So then by the time you get past week 8, what I call the second quadrant, third quadrant of the season, that you break it into 4s.
Yeah.
When you get later in the season, you're not second guessing, can this guy play in this situation? And you're also not looking at the situation and saying, we don't know what we have. By that time, we already know what time it is. We already know that Dejon Anthony, we saw him week 1, 2, 3, and 4, played 20-something snaps. This is what he looked like. So by the time I get to week 12, I already know what I got from Dejon Anthony. And that's how that goes with all those young guys. That's what the Eagles did. The Eagles took all of those dudes, they drafted them, and they played them immediately. When I thought that they had a cornerback deficiency, they proved me wrong by drafting the Dejon Cooper or whatever his name is.
Cooper,
They got him, but they played those dudes, bro.
And this is the thing is I think you bring up a great point here is when you look at that too, you're not going into a year 3 with a Miles Murphy still hoping that you see something, right?
You can't.
Listen,
you can't.
Mon and I talk about this all the time. We watch all these other teams in NFL have this great defensive rookie, and the Bengals never do. And it's not because they might not be that good. It's because we never see them play. Shit. We never saw Lou play those guys. And so what are we going into now in this year? We still have guys like Anthony, like Tyson Anderson. We have no idea how good they're going to be. That was my point with the safety position is we have those guys on our roster that have been there for 3 years now. We have no idea. We are going into it blindly hoping that by year 3 these guys are good instead of play them right away. If they're not good, then move on. You can move on from them, but you're not stuck. Like the Bengals, they get stuck in these ruts on defense because the young guys didn't get a chance to play, and now we're spinning our wheels. We're not going out and trying to get these free agent guys, these first-tier guys that can help us defensively. Instead, we're like, oh, well, we'll see if Miles Murphy pans out.
Right.
We're trying to win a Super Bowl. You can't approach it that way.
Yeah.
The only way, if you're going to spend, like you said, Zim, you said it perfectly. We have all these first rounders, second rounders, and third rounders on this defense. We're not talking about 6th and 7th round drafts. We're talking about quality. Those guys that should be making an impact right away on this team. And we don't know what the hell we got. We still don't know what the hell we got.
You can't do that. And that's the part. It goes so many different ways. But I feel like a lot of our fan base is falling into this trap to say that, oh, man, the defense sucks. Yes, statistically it sucked, and it was really bad last year. But if you really look around, just go look at – just pick any team that you want. Show me where they have a Dax Hill level guy that's just not played that much first and second round, all over. You got Dak, Cam Taylor, Britt, DJ Turner, Chris Jenkins, all those guys, and now You're now added Shamar Stewart, and you added a second rounder in Knight. These are all premium picks. Yeah. There are not that many teams that do that. In the formula that the Bengals are using is a lot like what I think the Eagles have done. The difference is they just played it. That Chiefs team that I was talking about, bro, they were playing dudes that people don't even know, but now they are. Like in the guys like Karlaftis, like early in the tenure or whatever, they probably weren't even playing as much because they were letting other guys, like everybody was getting some. You know what I mean? And so that's the only way you do it, because then later in the season, you can't then now bust out and be like, man, we going up against Justin Jefferson. Let's see what DJ Ivy could do against him. Like, what? Yeah, I know. You better figure him out against these bums week one and let him build his confidence up. Let him cook against them. If you can't, I'm going to know off of week one, if Josh Newton can't hang with Cedric Tillman, right? There's no way I'm lining them up against premium wide receivers. Now we're going to adjust to week two. Now we're adjusting and saying, okay, you didn't have a good outing against a bum wide receiver. Let's get you up against, let's see what you do better. Now let's maximize what, you know what I mean? And you just kind of, you just keep on going with that, like that thing. But this whole, like, I'm not playing guys, but I'm drafting them really high.
Yeah. And Eric talked about this earlier too. And Eric, I want to get your thoughts on this too, because I think when you look at this team, look at the players, the draft picks for the Bengals that have succeeded, right? And again, I know Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but these guys all played early. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jesse Bates was a third-round pick. Jermaine Pratt, I think, was a fourth-round pick. Logan Wilson was a third-round pick. These guys all played early, and they are the meat and potatoes of this organization. They're the reason why we went to a Super Bowl. That group of guys that got on the field right away, whether they were good or not good, whether, Joe Burrow didn't have a lot of players around him, they got on the field early, and now we have seen that those guys succeed. Cordell Volson is a great analogy of this, because he played right away. There was a good enough sample size now where we're like, okay, this guy sucks.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Cordell, I'm sorry, but he's not a starting.
But now you know what he is. You know that he's a quality backup. You know what he can do really well. I saw him in the reps pulling the other day. I'm like, whoa, he's moving pretty good. He's not a starting left guard in the NFL. And that's all I'm saying, bro. And I'm gonna tell you another thing too. Think about how excited we get for guys like on draft night, and then those guys don't really pan out or whatever. Like right now, Taj Brooks or whatever, him and Barrett. You know how many teams Barrett is a linebacker and a guy on our team that the fans are not talking about at all. When he was drafted on draft night, a lot of people was like, oh, we got the guy that can run with Lamar and all these different things. And it kind of reminds me of what's bro that we just let Akeem Davis Gaither, right? Yeah. Akeem Davis Gaither was a guy that I knew when they drafted him didn't fit the current system that we had in place. They asked him to do one role, then he had to bulk up, and then before you know it, like now he's a special teamer and stuff like that. I thought that they managed it incorrectly, but that's another thing. That's another little piece to this thing. A guy like Barrett that has that level of athleticism that can run sideline to sideline right now, he's an asset to the team. And that's another person that I'm going to be looking for Golden to go and play like early on, because I'm going to tell you, if the Steelers got their hands on him, any of these teams that like the Texans now with a defensive mind, if they got their hands on a guy like that, he would play right away. And even if his role was just one thing that he did and everybody knew what that one thing is, if he's that good and he runs sideline to sideline like people think that he can, and you see him hurdling over people and stuff like that, you cannot say, oh, well, we got to get him up to speed. He's got to learn the playbook. God damn it, we're going to simplify this playbook for this dude.
And he's going to get on that field right.
And he's going to get out on the field. Like, bro, like it's people think that talking ball has different levels to it, right? We could talk scheme. We could talk about, like Coach kind of holds back a lot of his stuff schematically so that the viewer at home isn't thinking about leverage and like, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there's another ball conversation that says like, I'm going to take a guy that's faster than you and I'm going to put him against somebody that's slower.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put him in space. I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to throw him jump balls because he gets contested. That's what coaching is taking the one thing or the multiple things that guy does well and puts him in a position to maximize that opportunity and use that.
Right?
And be successful. And if you're failing to do that in your response, in which I heard for years about Zach Taylor's scheme and all this other stuff. I'm sorry, my contact almost fell out. Is about scheme and I don't know that. If you're continuously telling people that I don't know if it's going to work with the scheme, to me that's a coaching error because your scheme needs to be able to adjust to what you have in the building because you're giving your team the best chance to win by trying to figure out there's things that Barrett can do that Knight can't do. There's things that that Logan Wilson can do that Knight can't do. And then you figure out how you plug those into different positions. And if they do him and Taj Brooks like that, I'll be so disappointed because those are two guys that I know if they were on any other team right now, they would probably get some reps with the ones. They will be out there getting the opportunity to do a bunch of things. And I feel like we aren't the only team that does that, but that would really piss me off because that's what it takes. That's what the Eagles would do. And that's why the Eagles have the cheapest defense currently in the NFL. And it's one of the best defenses in the NFL because they took the guys that do stuff really, really well and the guys that are really, really big, like Jalen, whatever his name, Jalen Davis and all these, or Jordan Davis. And they took him and say, well, you're going to be our run stopper. And you know what I mean? And they just go around there.
You know who else does a good job of that too? The Rams. Eric, go ahead. What were you going to say, Eric?
Yeah. No, there's so many points I wanted to add. Mon, just to circle back a little bit, Mon talks about this all the time. The Bengals have gotten in the trap. Maybe they haven't done it for a lot historically, but the last few years, they've been drafting to replace guys that are going to leave in free agency. And those guys don't necessarily leave. We drafted Dax Hill, and then Jesse Bates, he lingered on for a couple years, and Dax Hill didn't get to play. We drafted Myles Murphy, probably thinking that Trey was going to walk. Well, Trey didn't go anywhere. We got an extension. We're still going to extend him again. So Myles Murphy had nothing. The Bengals have to get away with first and second round picks. Those cannot be replacements for guys you think are going to leave. That's a loser mentality. You should expect your guys to come back, and you're bringing talent in to come in and add on to the team. So they got to get away from that. To the Barrett Carter stuff, listening to interviews today, he's got the green dot in practice. Some guys are sitting out. They trust him enough to call plays. That's really, really exciting. And then I got to hear Al Golden speak. Sorry, I can't give credit to whoever did the interview, but Al Golden, they asked him about starters and fighting positions, and he said, listen, we're not necessarily fighting for starting positions. I expect everybody to play. Depth is going to be leaned on heavily, so we're going to have guys out there because we need those fresh legs in the fourth quarter. So I am less concerned after hearing that because that means that we're going to see rotations. We're going to see Tyson Andersons. We're going to see Dejon Anthony. We're going to see Barrett Carter. We're going to see all these guys because what's the best thing in the fourth quarter? If you've got fresh legs, especially on defense and in the trenches, that beats out tired, very athletic guys. So I am not as concerned about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think. Again, it all circles back to what this team has done to try to replace players. And you said it perfectly, Eric. I mean, and I don't think I could have said it better. These guys, they're drafted, they sit on the bench, and it's like the Bengals wait till one of these superstars leave free agency, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, you're up. Well, all right, you're up hasn't played, hasn't had any PT in 2 years, and now all of a sudden you're throwing him to the wolves against the best players in the world. The thought process behind that to me is mind-boggling. Like, how can you possibly, as a coach, go into that and not prepare these players and give them those opportunities to see what it's like to be on the field? You are not building a program doing it that way. You're not. You're not building a program. You're just basically trying to replace great players with just guys and hoping that it works, like a Nick Scott.
Yeah.
Again, I know I bring him up a lot, but I think he's a great point to this. Is like, okay, well, Dax Hill isn't good enough, so let's go get Nick Scott. I mean, that's going to replace an all-pro Jesse Bates. I mean, the thought process behind it is just insane to me, to think that the Bengals would go into every year thinking that, well, we won't develop these guys, because that's really what Lou wasn't doing. Let's be real. I love Lou, and he coached his ass off, and he had some incredible scheme games, but he did not develop anyone. And that is why he got fired. I don't think it was because of how bad we played last year. I think it's because the Bengals and Zach Taylor are like, shit, none of these guys on defense know how to play defense.
Right.
Because they haven't been developed.
And once you make those decisions and say, hey, I'm going to play my guys, then you got to be willing to, to take what comes with it. The same way as if you come up with a really good prospect and they were to hit on it. It's like anything in life. And to me, Lou is going to be fine. I think Lou's going to be all right with the Colts. Like, you look at their defensive spending, they spend a good amount of money on defense and stuff. And it's one of those things that they're going to go back and forth through time and be like, should we have kept him? Whatever. Hopefully our good was so good everybody forgets about him. But that's what it is. I mean, that's the nature of the business. It's a $1 billion industry. So all these decisions, they have consequences to it. It's okay for fans online of all these different teams to say, oh, I like this guy, I like that guy. But you didn't draft them. You didn't go in through a brain trust situation and say, this is my guy. And whenever you put yourself in that position, dealing with money, dealing with all of these different facets of football, then you got to be accountable and being able to say, these are the guys that I'm going to go with, and I'm going to go to the alley with, and we'll go to a bar fight with. And if you ain't willing to say that, and that's Zach Taylor included, he might say, I've said for 4 years, I think Zach should come out here and put way more onus on the run game. We interviewed Orlando Brown 4 weeks ago now. He said, no, we're going to air it out. And so for me, I'm like, okay, but at the end of the day, if they feel as though they got the best plan, let us see the results, get to the playoffs, go get that number 1 seed. You're so confident in passing the ball 40 plus times without having a consistent run game. Let's see it. And then consistently do it and go win a Super Bowl. I have to go, guys. I know you guys are still cooking up. I want to tell everybody that's watching this from my feed on Twitter or Wincinnati's feed, please make sure you go to YouTube. Follow the Bengals Pulse. They do excellent work. Mon, who isn't on the show tonight, is also an excellent contributor as well. Please make sure if you are watching this on Twitter, you do come over to YouTube. As I said earlier in the show, we're the last of a dying breed. We are for the folks. We are for the people. We are an extension of the fan base. So unlike a lot of other shows, we take a lot of your advice, a lot of your interests, a lot of different things, and we incorporate it into our show, and we put out this information. If you like what you're hearing, please make sure you send this to a friend, tweet it to somebody, and make sure that they subscribe and cut on alerts. We have really good content here, and I really, really think you guys should check it out.
Appreciate it, Zim. Thank you, guys. Thank you and Ace so much for jumping on. Listen, we don't do this enough, right? We don't do this enough. We need to do this more. We obviously we appreciate you guys so much. We love you guys, and we got to do this more, man. The season's kicking off. It's go time now. It is go time, like you said. It's time to lace them up. So Zim, Ace, thank you guys so much. Check those guys out. They are unbelievable. So many great guests, so much great content. Go check those guys out. Dolores, let's get to Dolores real quick.
Yeah,
Dolores, thank you so much for the super chat.
Thanks, Zim. So we got super chat a long time ago. It's hard to get in here, but we wanted to give it credit. So appreciate it, Dolores. Says, you guys hype me up so much. Thanks. A lot of good fire in there. And I wanted to say this earlier, but I'll say it now. We get really frustrated because the narrative is Joe Burrow isn't talked about as being the top quarterback. For Joe Burrow, everything they go out there is talking about all these reasons why his team isn't going to win and all these reasons why he's not going to win the MVP. And then when we hear they go out and talk about Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and they flip it. They talk about all the reasons that his team is going to win Super Bowl for him, or all the reasons that they're going to do this, they're going to have success.
Yeah.
We don't get that same narrative for Joe Burrow, and it's very frustrating. And we get hyped up. The season's about to start because this is really the year that those narratives all should die. We should come out here and we should start the season 3-0. Joe Burrow should have an MVP season. There's no reason that this defense doesn't improve and the Bengals win the AFC North and they possibly get a number 1 seed. There is no logical reason when you look at how this team is built that all those narratives don't die this year. And we've talked about this before. When the national media talks about the Bengals, they tell you they can't do something, then they tell you they won't do something, and then they tell you they shouldn't do something. I expect those narratives won't die this year, but damn it, they're going to have to eat some crow because the Bengals are going to be Super Bowl champions at the end of this year. There's no logical reason not to. And another update from Dolores for you, Jake. I know you'll love this, but Dolores says that she thinks the Browns called her to play QB the other day. Must have missed the call.
You know what's
Again, I'm
funny?
probably not taking that call either.
Eric, you know what's funny about that whole thing? I know we got to go, but you know what's really funny about the whole thing is the Browns are so terrible at quarterback. I still might take all 27 of their quarterbacks over Aaron Rodgers right now. I mean, you talk about I'm on overload watching Aaron Rodgers trying to move at all. It's going to be an absolute clown show in Pittsburgh.
Listen,
I am here for all of it. I am loving it.
We need to tame down the Aaron Rodgers hate because the man is probably in a darkness retreat right now. He's probably his consciousness has probably left his body, and now he can come in and he can haunt you. And I don't think that you want an Aaron Rodgers, spiteful Aaron Rodgers consciousness haunting you. I'm not down for that. So Aaron,
are you saying
this year unless you're playing us?
Like leave his body, like leave the natural plane?
Yes, when you're in meditation, when you're taking psilocybin, all that psychedelic stuff causes you to leave your body.
Married. Wasn't he married or dating a witch? Like that stuff is
I don't follow.
That
I
stuff
don't
is
follow
scary.
that much. So
yeah, that's scary. All right, let's get out of here.
I know what can happen in meditation, so I would watch out.
Hey, we love you guys. We appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for joining. You are absolutely the best. Again, I cannot wait to get up there in a couple weeks. Hopefully get to hang out and talk to all of you guys.
6 weeks, everybody.
I love that. Yeah, 6 weeks. 6 weeks. I'm going to have a calendar, pose it right here, just so people do not get upset with me. But yes, Cornell, that's great. He does look like Bad Santa. That is hysterical. Cornell, that's exactly what he looks like. Is Billy Bob Thornton for Bad Santa. That is a great one. All right, we're going to leave on that one. Thank you guys so much. Again, thoughts and prayers out there to our bro, Mon, for protecting our community. He's on a fire shift tonight. He could not be here. And he's gonna be a granddad soon. I'm so excited for him.
Grandmon is pending, everybody. Grandmon is pending.
I'm very excited for him. But again, we want to thank Ace and Zim as well for joining us. As always, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the awesome podcast platforms: Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. As always, guys, follow Mon on Twitter at the FireMon. Follow me on Twitter at Coach Jake Owens 9. Follow Eric on Twitter at eFlash with 2 H's 88. Follow our guys Ace and Zim on the Wincinnati Podcast Network on Twitter at Wincinnati Pod. And please follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter at the Bengals Pulse on Twitter. And the same on Instagram without the at the Bengals Pulse. As always, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure you give us that 5-star review. We very much appreciate that. And for all my Reds fans out there, as I was doing our intro out, Spencer Steer just hit his 13th home run. The Reds are up 4-1 on the Cubs. Top of the 7th. It's going to be a great night. I can feel it already, Eric. He is Eric. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. Whodey, Bengal fans. We'll see you soon.